Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Good evening, everyone. It is January 8th, 2026 at 6:30. And this is the monthly meeting of Fitchburg Transportation and Transit Commission. Happy New Year. Call the meeting to order. For our note taker, all members of the commission are here. I see no members of the public who are not here for an agenda item, so we'll go on to approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Under discussion, I would entertain a motion to move item 7A before item 5.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, on the amendment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And on the main motion to approve the agenda as amended, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those were both unanimous. Aye, thank you.
Aye. Now it's unanimous.
I forgot about the satellite.
Does it help if you could see me?
Yeah, thank you. Rick is in a sunny, warm place.
You have a very clear camera too. Look at that.
Thank you.
Camera, huh?
I cleaned it just for this meeting.
Excellent. So next up is the approval of the minutes. Entertain a motion.
I move. Go ahead. You go.
Okay, Maggie moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Gabriella, thank you. All right, anybody notice any omissions or typos or anything? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, say aye.
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 Thank you, Rick. Our gratitude to Dina for the minutes. Then we're back to, we're going to take agenda item 7A first, and then we'll go to staff report according to the revised agenda. So I would invite our guests to come up to the table so that you can be clearly heard and seen on the recording. And Ross, you're going to make a short introduction, and then Barb, you can introduce yourself and give your address.
All right, I'm sharing my screen so everyone can see what I'm looking at. There we go. So I just wanted to share a couple of updates kind of related to this agenda item before we get started here. So very recently, we made more transit materials available at the Fitchburg Public Library. So now you can ask at the front desk of the library and they will point you to fast fare cards as well as instructions for loading those fast fare cards and using them. The instructions get kind of lengthy because it is kind of a long process to actually use them. And then also they have Metro Transit System maps and then route schedules and booklet and there is computer help available if you need it, as far as loading the money on the card. The other thing I wanted to update this commission on is kind of the snow and ice policy for the city for sidewalks and bus stops. So by ordinance, snow must be cleared by 6 p.m. the day after snow stops accumulating. So if it's kind of an on and off snow event, that can kind of drag out a little bit. But ice that can't be removed must be kept effectively salted or sanded until it can be removed. And then sidewalks adjacent to private property are that property owner's responsibility. If it's a sidewalk adjacent to city property, that's city responsibility. And then all paths, which are 10-foot asphalt or 8-foot asphalt, or we have some concrete paths as well, those are the city responsibility to keep clear. And you can use the report of concern on the city website. Code enforcement will contact property owners and issue citations if that's necessary, but usually a phone call to the owner takes care of it quicker than a ticket will. And then park staff will clear any paths that they missed or haven't gotten to very quickly, and there's a link there. And then there's also, this is just a screenshot of the website where you can find report of concern. It's this little exclamation point on the side, and then you click on snow and ice removal.
And it's on every page of the city website?
Yes, the report of concerns little tab is correct. So
One point of clarification, bus pads and curb ramps, are they also adjacent property owner?
so those are city responsibility.
Okay.
So generally after our plow crews have gone through and cleared the roads, then they start on paths and bus pads.
Bus pads and curb ramps, the pads are done
Yes.
by a separate crew at the same time as the roads are done.
In general, yes, yeah.
Questions for Ross on any of that? So some of these changes at the library are as a result of citizen request. And you made those requests, right, Barb? Mm-hmm. So we are interested in hearing from transit users how things are going, and what would you like to share with us? Give us your name and address.
Okay, my name is Barbara Rotman. I'm at 3012 Dunmore in Fitchburg, Highlands.
Do you want to move to that chair so he can see you on the camera? Sorry.
No problem.
I invited her to the table.
You did good.
So, I'm in the Highlands of Seminole. I would say that regarding clearing the sidewalk, the day that we took our trip was December 3rd, and that 10-inch snowfall came after Thanksgiving. So that was a good 3 or 4 days, and there must have been 3 inches of ice on that sidewalk, the entire length of the sidewalk, so it had never been cleared. And that was a major concern because, let me back up and say that this all started when through a biking group with the Active Women's Group, we were talking about using the bus. And I was goaded into creating an event for the Active Women's Group that we would take the bus and learn to use the Metro bus. We decided that we would take the bus and go to the Chazen Museum and then come home. And people would be able to get a fare card and learn the route and feel comfortable, because there was some concern about, how do you get on the bus? What's this new rapid transit about, and so on. So we decided on December 3rd. The first thing I attempted to do was to get fare cards. And so I contacted Metro Transit, and they told me that I could drive to the east side of town, which I thought was ironic since we're trying to keep cars off the road. And, or I could go to any Madison public library. Route B for the Metro bus starts at Caddis Bend and ends there, which is in Fitchburg. But you could not get a card at Fitchburg. I went to the library there and asked for 25 cards because 22 people registered to take this trip. And they were reluctant to give me that many cards, which, because this is what happens when, you know, it's one of those obstacles that occur, because it would be work for them to request more cards. At any rate, they gave me the cards and the instructions, and I picked up some route maps and that brochure. I proceeded then to try to create an account. And do you all have fare cards? Did you all create your own fare? Was it fun? Everyone I talked to, the first thing you're supposed to do is enter the number on your card. And everyone I talked to entered this long number. I checked it 4 times to make sure I had no typos, and I got it didn't work. The long story short is that's not the number you enter. There's this tiny little number at the bottom, and then you don't even enter that number. You enter all except the last 3 digits, and those instructions do not tell you that.
I think they may have printed a new sheet.
I don't, they may have after I talked with them, but, so anyway, I created instructions, and you're welcome to pass them around, and everybody successfully loaded their card. The next step was getting the senior citizen fare, and that was not easy either. So my complaints are a lot about Metro Transit, and I know you don't care about that, but
We oversee them in part.
We very much do.
well, so again, I'm on the phone talking to someone because I could not figure out how to get the senior citizen discount, which it's $1 per ride instead of $2. You know, that's worth going for. So they said, oh, you have to go back to the frequently asked questions. That's where it is. Logical, right? That's exactly where I would have looked. And then there's like all these different ways. It must be 12 different ways that you can get a special fare, but it's under frequently asked questions. So then I went to, I got that far, and then you had to submit evidence that you qualify for a senior rate, and that included a copy of your Medicare card, which no one should be copying and sending anywhere, a copy of your driver's license, your birth certificate, or your passport.
All of those or one of those?
Any one of them, but
Okay.
no one should
Should
copy
be-
their birth certificate, no one should copy their Medicare card, and no one should copy their passport and send it off. And you could do it by mail, or you could email it to an address, which was metrotransit@madison.com. No person, no guarantee of security. Chris mailed hers and had no problem. Within an hour, they approved it. I was very skeptical that I should do this, so I copied my driver's license and mailed it along with this PDF form that I had to print out, which, again, the instructions were quite confusing because if you read it, I read the instructions that you needed this PDF form, whether you mailed it or emailed your documentations. So those were some of the frustrations of just getting the card. And once I got that, it was no problem, but I feel like there's a lot of work that could be done on that website to make it easier. And people that I have talked to said that, well, yeah, I got my card, but I signed up at Sequoia Library. They had an event, and we went there, and they created, so somebody helped them. Someone who knew the system did this. And it's really easy to do and should be easy for anyone to use and to load money onto their card and so on. But I think the instructions are very poor. And then when the ride was fine, except for the icy conditions. And since everyone was qualified as a senior citizen, it was really unacceptable, I thought, especially people that rely on this to go to work on a regular basis and trying to encourage people. It's very important that it be accessible, and it definitely was not. The other thing I would say about Metro Transit is when we got there, if you're familiar with where I forgot now I think they call it the East. Anyway, it stops on Johnson Street at the
East Campus Mall.
Sorry?
East Campus Mall.
East Campus Mall. Okay, so you cross Johnson Street, and to return, you pick up the bus, obviously, on University Avenue, going back the opposite direction. It's right in front of the Chazen. There is a large bus stop with the shelter and the kiosk and so on. That's not where you get the bus Route B. There is a pad on toward the Capitol, that would be to the east of that large shelter. And this pad has a yellow line strip, which is a caution line so you don't step out into University Avenue. And there's a tiny little post with a sign on one side facing the Capitol that says Route B bus stop. If you did not know that, we would have been waiting at this other bus stop to go back and miss the bus, because there's no way that you would easily know that, and furthermore, we were going the opposite direction of where the sign is. It's not a two-faced sign. There is how hard is it to print the sign on both sides? But if you're walking toward the Capitol, you wouldn't even be able to read that is where the bus stops. I understand that that's probably to prevent congestion, and so that the bus has easy access, into traffic and so on, doesn't get stopped behind local buses. However, that sign really, once you take the bus, of course, then you know it, but for first-time users, and again, there was a tiny little blue sticker in the corner on the back. It was the back of the sign was silver with a tiny little blue sticker, but unless you were looking for it, you would not see it. And I thought that was inadequate. The bus goes past campus. It goes past the Overture Center. It goes to the Capitol. I think Fitchburg should promote using the bus to go to the farmers market. I think that I would think the city would maybe want to sponsor a few events, ride the bus, create some buzz around it, create maybe an event where people can come to the library, get their card, go down, go to the farmers market. Maybe there's an event, maybe there's a children's event for something. There are also things that aren't real clear on the site, like each user needs their own card. You can have several cards on an account, but each member of the family needs, I couldn't swipe my card 4 times, for example, for a family. Each family person would have to have their own card. That's not really clear, and I know that's a lot of information to try to make available on a website, but I think it could be improved. But I would recommend some sort of event and some sort of way to promote using the bus to go. It's really simple. There's plenty of parking at Pick and Save, and that's not a far walk. And but again, people need to be maybe made aware of that, where they can park, how they can get on the bus. Once they have the card, it's just a tap and ride. But since they can't take cash, it's important that you have this card. or a credit card, but if you want to get the senior rate, you have to have the fast fare card. So there are reasons to get the card, but you don't, if you have a credit card, you don't absolutely have to go through the hassle of getting the fast fare card.
They are working on being able to register your credit card to get the senior or other reduced fares on your credit card. That's not available yet, but they are working to get that.
And I understand that they're going to build a kiosk where you can get a card at the kiosk in Fitchburg, but that is not, you could get these cards or buy a ticket, for example, at the kiosk on University Avenue or at Hilldale and so on. They don't have that available yet at Fitchburg.
Right, that will become available with our full BRT stops.
I think that it is everyone that if we had 22 people sign up because of scheduling, that was without a date, and then the weather. So we had 10 people in the end who went. Everyone had a positive experience. No one had any problems. Everyone wanted to continue using the bus, and everyone feels that it's a great alternative to parking. I, for example, do go to the State Historical Library frequently. Last time I went, I paid $8 for parking. Using the bus, it's a 2-block walk and it's $2. And you could simply promote it like that, or maybe talk to people and say, here's how I use the bus. Or I think there are many ways to promote it, and there is great interest, but we're not a city that is used to public transportation, so it's kind of scary, I guess, for people who haven't used trains and buses and subways and so on. So and they're all curious about it. They're interested and have a desire to learn to use it. So I hope that you'll find some ways to promote it. And thank you for getting the cards at the library. I do hope the people in Sun Prairie can get them at their library and not have to drive to a Madison library.
And they have a nice new library going in, or a new addition on their library. So.
Tons of space.
Yes.
But if the only place you can get it, I know that the bus goes to Middleton and to Sun Prairie as well as Fitchburg, and so I thought it was kind of humorous that you'd have to drive into Madison to get your bus card. Anyway,
Barbara?
Thank you.
Did you organize your event under the auspices of any organization? Was it a senior center activity?
It was the Active Women's Group.
Okay, and that's senior center group?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Barb?
I just want to applaud you for putting the event together and your persistence in figuring it out, because
I've heard that word many times. Most people told me that they would have given up long ago, but no. It's not that hard. I feel like the system needs a lot of work. I think that the publicity and the press around it has been about the routes and so on, and not about the customer service aspect about it. And I feel like that they focused a lot on encouraging people to ride, and that it would be fast, and the routes would save them time and so on. I don't know what the ridership is, but I would also say that before I researched all this, most of the people that I talked to who had cards got them either through school or their employer, or, as I say, they've gone to the library, and not very many people had tried to do it on their own. And that part of it needs some attention. So thank you.
Other questions for Barb?
Could you potentially share that? I don't know if you have it in a digital format, but
Yes, I do.
We have it in
you have it in
by
digital
email,
format.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Did I
That'd be-
email you this?
I thought so.
Would you email it to Ross again?
Yeah.
And,
I actually am a big believer that people that
and Ross, could
users
you
creating
mail it to all the
instructions
members of the
can be
commission?
a lot more effective than,
Well,
than
I
the
have-
person that's organizing it.
Yeah,
It's great.
I've had to, yeah, it's not, anyway, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
And thank you so much for
I'll add-
sharing the experience.
Yeah.
But I really do encourage you to create some sort of an event or some sort of a Fitchburg Day at the farmer's market or.
Well, this is a discussion item for us, and so we're gonna talk about that right now.
Okay.
And yeah, I just want to say, Barb, I appreciate, one of the things that it really kind of stuck with me was the word Elizabeth said before was persistence. And if the goal is to, as we discussed in our transit plan that we just approved at council a couple times, or was it the meeting in December, late November? If our goal is to increase transit ridership, any one of those reasons that you gave would be a reason somebody says, you know what, I'll just pay the $8 when I go to the Historical Society.
Yeah.
So the collective barriers that you listed off, is that list is long. So it gives us a lot of areas that we can work, all the communities that are served by Metro and Metro itself can work together to break those down. And I'm thinking like, could we get a stand at Community Night Out? We had, 3,000 or so people at it this year. I think that'd be a great way to kind of get it in front of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was just thrilled when you emailed us and we're talking about your experience and the fact that you were, putting the work in to do this, because as I was saying to you before the meeting, it means a lot more and people are more likely to do it when, you encourage somebody versus the mayor or myself, sorry, mayor, but, it means more when it's coming from a trusted community member or friend. So I just wanted to commend you for that, and I was thrilled that you were able to come here tonight and share your experience,
Thank you
because
for having me.
there's a lot of times, a lot of things that we'll say, that I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but people know just to tune me out. But when it comes from real users.
Well, I would
appreciate
say
your
that there's a lot of interest about the bus. I mean, and these are the people that immediately signed up just with the pitching the idea. 22 people signed up, and those were just the people who were at that meeting. And there were a lot of people who weren't there. A few other people contacted me, but I think that shows the level of interest. And it's not you don't have to scratch too deeply to find people that want to use the bus or are curious about it. And I think once they take it, especially the route here, it's so easy. You can't miss where you get on and you can't miss where you get off. So that big kind of fear is gone. And the East Campus drop-off is so easy and recognizable for the Capitol or Overture. And as I said, we were thinking of we were going to have another event to go see the Christmas trees at the Capitol, but it just got so cold and so nasty that, so maybe summer would be a better time. But we'll keep doing it. And I just appreciate your interest. And really, I encourage you to keep pushing, because I think it's something that people in Fitchburg do need and want.
Stay here at the table in case we want to discuss more with you. I have a couple of things to add. I do want to highlight, so our Metropolitan Planning Organization has a transportation demand management program, trying to reduce people driving alone places. And it's called Round Trip. And their website is roundtripgreatermadison, I believe, .com, but it might be .org, I don't know. Anyway, they have a transit buddy program that we could publicize, where experienced transit riders sign up, like Logan, sign up to be transit buddies to meet people and go for rides with them to help them figure out their commute. So that is, I'm not saying that you're signed up as a buddy yet, but you could.
As an aside, we've invited them to come speak at the committee the whole meeting.
Excellent,
Yeah,
excellent.
This
Round trip.
Yes.
That's great. With respect to the one card per person, I have 4 cards. They are labeled Steve, Nancy, my wife, and guest 1 and guest 2, so that I can take friends downtown. We went to the No Kings rally with our former next door neighbors, and they used our cards. Of course, the guest one and guest two cards are $2 a ride because you don't have a even though our friends are seniors also. When you get a card, they will load old media onto it. So if you have 1 or 2 card passes or a monthly pass, they will load the value of that. So I started out with my card with $52 because I had a monthly pass and a, like 5 rides left on a 10 ride pass and things like that. So those are the things I wanted to say about that, to add to what Barb said, and also potentially to your instructions. And I think it would be a terrific idea, and just to kick off this discussion, it would be ideal if 1 or 2 members of this committee would form a subcommittee to organize an event. I think staff would participate in ways to do things that maybe only staff could do, such as put announcements on out to the city's mailing list and so on. So, and I'm thinking, so we tried to do this, have a similar event, although it wasn't Fitchburg focused, for Week Without Driving last fall. And that was in October, and it was at the end of the farmer's market season. But one could pick a beautiful June or July day and have a Saturday trip to Dane County Farmers Market. I got to say I was really surprised. I looked it up on Google Maps about the 2 stops at the Chazen. The reason for the 2 stops is because the B bus has to make a left turn and cannot use that station and then get across traffic. But I did not know about that because I've never boarded at that station.
And that station actually has a 3rd stop for all the local buses, so which is where I get off in the morning, so I'm very familiar with that. So that entire
65
block is a transit stop.
Did you have some?
Yeah, I wanted to make a suggestion. I used to sit on the Resource Conservation Commission, and they put on lots of events over the course of the year. They're quite good at it, and I don't know what their plans are for this year, but I wonder if we could, as a starting point, collaborate with them and learn from some of their experience. Very cool idea. And they are great at promoting them as well, so I think that'd be a perfect collaboration.
Gabriella knows this better than most of us, but they're a slightly different kind of commission. They do a lot of work. We mostly come to these meetings and read our packets and provide our citizen input, but the RCC members are out toting barges and lifting bales, and year-round. They do an annual resource conservation forum that they have done things on invasive species and electric cars and things like that in the past. So I second your idea.
They also have a standing, basically a segment in the Fitchburg Star. Somebody writes an article every month, so we could potentially ask if we could do a guest. They're always looking for content, so if we do a guest column about
anything to make the Fitchburg Star thicker would be good.
Steve, I'd be happy to take this on. I actually got an email from a member of a couple members of RCC this morning, where we had talked about some events last year for this year. So I can add this to our.
They have a meeting on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, and we're gonna meet at some point here. Great. Not enough of us to meet quorum, but
as a subcommittee.
Yes, to discuss some ideas. So I can add this to the list.
I think that would be great, and if any other commissioner would be willing to participate and represent our commission on the group that puts that on. I certainly have a lot of experience to share about that, and Logan, you should put me on that mailing list as my duties permit.
I'm happy to help as well.
Kind of coordinates with your day job too. Go ahead, Barb.
I was thinking that it might be helpful to have an event at the library for people to, similar, I'm not sure what they did at Sequoia, but I know that people signed up for cards there. It was sort of like a mass event that people from the Metro bus came and made a presentation about the bus and the route and so on. And then afterwards, people could sign up and get their card right there.
Yep. The Metro Transit had a bilingual employee who was the ambassador that ran all of those. And he did 2 events at our library.
Oh, you did?
And, but probably very early in the process before awareness may have been raised, but that's where I got my first 2 cards. But I was also down at the administrative office to load all that media and get the additional cards I wanted. So he was very good. I don't know if he's still on staff because I think that was an LTE type of arrangement, but
I know somebody on the library board who could probably ask. I'm on the library board.
We're also, with the launch of BRT in a few years, we're planning to have some of those similar events.
Yeah.
That's just not
well, it was
used
pointed
launch
out to me by someone who I was describing our improvements to transit in Fitchburg in August. They said, oh, how are we going, actually it was a chamber event across the street a couple minutes ago. How are we going to publicize that? And I think that we do have a major transit expansion coming in August. We do need to tell Fitchburg about it, and it would be really great to wrap up all of the ideas, all of the rough edges that you pointed out, Barb, to try to smooth them over and get folks to, I'm sure we could get Metro to come out here. If we can't, we can get an experienced person and a big box of fare cards and do it ourselves because we have sufficient knowledge.
Can I comment?
Go ahead.
Place beside the library?
You should come up to because the guy behind you is going to yell at you for not being heard on the microphone. And identify yourself.
Flash your badge.
So I would say that another place to if you're planning to to do this type of event should be the hub.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
You know what I mean? Because if we want to reach out to people that they're gonna use most
And
of
it's
this
on the
public
base.
service, and it's on the fish hatchery, BRT. And the other thing is the city is planning to launch at the end of this month our first e-newsletter. So that one is going to be another way to, promote all of these events and initiative to the rest of the community.
Speaking of the hub, do they have a recommendation from down the hall?
Yes.
What's the recommendation?
I don't remember the name, but it's not my name, or the name that it was. So.
All right, well, we'll find out when it comes to council, I guess.
So yeah.
This is the mayor, for anyone that doesn't know.
Other discussion on this potential project and this situation.
Exciting.
I think it's a great idea. America Walks is an advocacy organization for walking, and there are similar transit-oriented organizations for advocating for transit users, and they have plans to pop-up events to promote transit. That's another source of expertise that we can tap into.
I subscribe to that, and all the information that I get, I send it to the Bike and Pedestrian Committee. So they are aware of that organization.
Very good.
Because I am sending them
Yep.
a lot of
So some of their work, and AARP is another one that is very into supporting transit and walkability, and they have other resources like the walk audits. Okay, any other discussion on this? I think that Logan will take the lead, for which we're grateful, and we can contribute down the road. Thank you, Barb.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Christine, did you want to add anything?
No, I think Barbara covered it all.
All right, very good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor, for your attention to this. I appreciate it.
I'm fine.
All right, we now return you to your regularly scheduled agenda. So that is staff report.
All All right, I will move through this quickly because we've got a couple of other items still to go. So one thing I wanted to bring up, we did just move a bus stop at East Sherrill and South Cyene. I'm going to share my screen to show that, and then I'll kind of keep rolling.
Thank you.
As I pull this up, hopefully it comes quickly. So I shared that screen. There we go. So basically there's a bus stop at Crinkle Root Drive and Cyene, and then No Oaks Crinkle Root and East Sherrill and No Oaks and Sherrill, and we consolidated those to a pair of bus stops at East Sherrill and South Cyene. So that's kind of that's a permanent bus stop alteration. And then over here where
How's that working for you?
It is working fantastic.
Okay.
The hiccups at the beginning have been worked out, and I'm thrilled.
And then over here where it says 4253, that because of construction on the apartment building right here, that bus stop has been temporarily moved over to the south west corner of the East Sherrill and Lacey roundabout. That's temporary, but it will be for about 18 months. So it's kind of a long-term temporary closure.
Being built.
Yeah.
Uh,
So those are kind of our two.
While you stick with that map, did we have a solution for the closing of the cycle track? The sidewalk you can use the other side, but the cycle track is.
Yeah, we're putting up bikes may use full lane signs.
Okay. And they will use the general travel lanes, or are you going to close the parking lane?
They will use the general travel lanes.
Okay.
Because I can't remember if we have to close the parking lane there, but it's not going to be closed for bikes. It's closed so it can be used for the construction.
All right, construction's going to park there. The construction fence is at the curb, so I know that it's not in the parking lane.
Yes. I don't remember that part of it off the top of my head.
Okay. I appreciate the signage.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Also, we've kind of self-imposed a 1-week notification process for bus stop and route changes. I can go into more detail on that if you have any questions. There will be reduced bus service on Martin Luther King Day, January 19th. That's for most holidays. There's reduced bus service. And then there is also kind of ongoing delays or trip cancellations on Route B at the moment because of bus repair difficulties.
Bus shortages.
Yes. Basically, there's a couple of things going wrong with the electric buses right now. So they're canceling about 4 to 5 trips a day on the B, but not in a row, just kind of in the middle. So there's sometimes it's a 30-minute service right now. So
do we get a discount on how much we're paying for?
So kind of. We can get into that in the Metro budget deficit. I had a plan to go over our contract in that. So
good call.
But basically, we don't pay for hours that we don't get.
Yep.
So
it's part of the settle-up process at the end of the year, right?
Kind of.
Okay. Well, don't jump ahead.
Our public transit assistance program application was submitted for about $1.3 million. That's an annual grant submission to WISTA that I do. We have some RRFBs that a technician came out and looked at and fixed some things and could not replicate issues at other RRFBs. So just be aware that we're working on those. If you see any RRFBs that are not working correctly, please let me know.
I think it would be easier to let you know when we see one that's actually working.
It's not that bad.
At least the motion detection one at Cannonball. I think we should give up on it.
Yes, I have. The technician came and fixed it, and then it rained a couple of days ago, and it went crazy again, and we turned it off.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm gonna ask them for a refund.
How about South Sayin, is that back yet?
The one to the
The
south.
one that got wiped out?
No, it's not.
Okay.
The police department has a grant to do some additional enforcement for drive sober, get pulled over, click it or ticket, and speed enforcement. So you might see some additional police vehicles doing those things. And then on Lacey Road between County MM and Brassica, we have added flags to the no parking signs. The police department was issuing warnings for people parking there. We changed that parking lane into a bike lane for everybody's memory. They were issuing warnings there through December 31st, and then they were going to start citations on January 1st. So I have not connected with Sergeant Brown since January 1st to see if they've actually issued any citations, but that was our schedule. So that's my staff report.
Any questions for staff?
I can just add a couple anecdotal things, because we've talked about a lot of stuff I experience every day. So we'll start with the bus lane on Lacey. So I think I had emailed you about, I think Ross at one point, I said there was like, it was a persistent issue. It looks like it's gotten a little bit better. I think the warnings are, and the flags I noticed tonight. So I think the message is getting out. So just wanted to.
What's this issue?
So that's the bike lane that or the parking lane we converted to a bike lane.
Okay.
The first entrance block of Terrabassa.
Okay.
So folks
The
been
issue
used
is
to
people
parking.
still parking there.
Yes.
Yes.
But the issue appears to be getting a little better. And as I mentioned, the stops consolidation, I chatted with a lot of folks at the bus stop the first couple days after we consolidated those stops. And I watched one person in the morning of that Monday, she looked at it and was like, where's my stop? And then went back across the street, saw the sign, and then came back over and figured it out. So there were no major hiccups that I'm aware of. But I appreciate that we have a plan to be a little bit more proactive with notification. I just think I wouldn't want somebody we talked about barriers before. I'm like, I have my morning down to a minute, and if I all of a sudden realize I had to move my bus stop 2 extra minutes, I might miss the bus. And if that is an item that causes somebody to miss the bus and get frustrated with transit, I would be disappointed. So just grateful that we are making progress and steps forward in all the right ways. So just a hat tip to Ross as always.
Anything else for?
Yeah, how are we letting people know about the B cancellations? Sounds like they're kind of random cancellations.
So Metro Transit has that up on their website, and that has gone out to if you're signed up for their text or email notifications.
They sent one out this afternoon.
Text alert says that it's not specific to B, the one that I got, but it does say
It's
plan.
A1 and A2 as well.
Okay, they say they plan for delays and allow extra time basically and track your bus.
Okay.
Is
And
what they're saying, because they can't really say which run it's going to be.
They do have what run it's going to be on the website. They have a timetable, and then they show which route is going to be canceled.
Also as of today.
And those will be the ones that all will be the same bus. It's
Right, yeah, it's probably,
around.
yeah, you're right.
Okay, anything else for Ross? Okay, that brings us to 6A. So this is the approval of City of Fitchburg Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan 2005. That's resolution R-174-25. And we should start with a motion to recommend approval.
I move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, now let's have staff report.
Okay, so this resolution approves the City of Fitchburg Bike and Pedestrian Plan 2025 update as drafted by city staff and MSA, along with the input of the Bike and Ped Commission and a small working group and planning team. So just, I have another little intro, but just to kind of start this off, the Bike and Pedestrian Commission tabled this. That's in the referral sheet in your packet. It says kind of why they chose to do that. And it also went to the Community Equity Committee, who also tabled it for similar but different reasons. And then just as kind of an intro, Phil Groupie is the Bike and Ped Commission staff contact, and he's going to give a similar intro to this when/if this goes to council. So in November 2024, Fitchburg staff began working with MSA Professional Services Incorporated and a working group that includes the Bike and Pedestrian Commission and select volunteer members from Bike Fitchburg to update the 2017 Bike and Pedestrian Plan per the contract and scope of work approved by Council in Resolution R184-24. Given the continued applicability of much of the content of the 2017 plan and a limited $25,000 budget available for this update, the intent of this 2025 update was largely to ensure the plan better reflects Fitchburg's growth through both neighborhood development and the 2022 annexation of portions of the town of Madison, as well as including a clear focus on equity as a core guiding principle of Fitchburg's future bike and pedestrian investments. The attached plan is the product of that year of work, following numerous meetings, working sessions, and a draft review period that was extended from ending in early August into October 2025 at the request of some Bike and Pedestrian Commission members. While the original timeline projected a mid-2025 completion, staff availability and the extent of updates initiated by the working group delayed the plan's finalization by several months. Otherwise, the scope of work was followed as laid out during contracting, and MSA handed the plan back to staff in late October 2025 to complete final edits internally because of budgeting issues. Additional technical and clerical corrections have been identified that will require final cleanup of the attached components following council approval, but none of these corrections affect the plan's overall ideas or presentation. A list of those planned corrections will be provided prior to adoption by council.
So, in your packet, you have several pages of comments that I made on behalf of Bike Fitchburg. There's also a page of comments by Kelly Jetzer of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission. Some were similar to mine, some were different. I don't think that's in the packet.
Kelly's comments are not.
I'll let anybody else comment first. I have a lot of comments on this.
I just want to reiterate my comment that as of about 24 hours ago, the packet that was available to me before I took off for my vacation here did not have tables in the implementation section that reached all the way to the right-hand column, so I could not read the entire plan. And if it's been updated, I have not been able to get to a revised version of it. So I'll tell you ahead of time that if there's a vote, I'm going to vote no because I did not see a complete document. Thanks.
Yeah, so the version that's in the packet currently on the website does have the complete tables, but that was updated earlier today. So that was
less than 24 hours before the meeting. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that was an issue with this is a 35 megabyte file and it does not upload to our agenda software nicely.
Yeah, nor could I email it to my iPad. Other comments?
Related to that, I will just say it's not searchable. So that was just throwing that out there, if there's a way to do that in the future. And then my more substantive comment is that it's not searchable, but I didn't see any reference to climate change or the transit plan in there. And I think it'd be helpful in like the why to add climate and to just mention syncing it up with the transit plan since we're trying to get all these plans to work together.
Good suggestions. Others?
One of the things that I think would be helpful, and I don't remember seeing it, please correct me if it was in there and I missed it, was kind of clearer guidance about the warrants for when we will consider RRFBs or raised crosswalks or things like that. I assume that there are warrants that Ross that you use and that we have to make those decisions. I can just tell you from my role as an alder, in the past 4 months, I've had at least twice at kind of community venues in different parts of District 3. I've had people ask for an RRFB or a raised crosswalk or something like that. And I don't feel equipped to say, here's how we consider those, short of fill out the the community action plan and kind of request some additional review. So I think it'd be helpful to just kind of state those, even if it's an appendix that we throw in after the fact, or if it gets to council and we approve it with a caveat of staff can make technical corrections, as I think we've done before. I think that might be one that would be helpful to throw in there. Just simple warrants of when we will consider this. I think in a future update it'd be nice to have a grid or something that says our goal is to have an RRFB at every crossing that is a city path crossing that is that near a bus stop, and kind of just state for our goals like we have in the transit plan for we want to have a bus pad at every bus stop. It's kind of the same thing. I think that would be helpful to say we want to have at minimum a painted crossing at any park crossing, and we want to have an RRFB anywhere near a bus stop, and we want to have a raised crosswalk anywhere near a four-way stop near a park or a school. That kind of level of kind of giving us some clear direction for where and how we want to implement those, which I think would also help us as we get into our comprehensive safety action plan. So maybe even that could be part of that, which then covers it in a different way.
I think that Ross will quickly say, I'll say first, that there's more factors such as what's the traffic count. So there are more factors that will dictate these kinds of things. As kind of an overview, and you've seen my 12 pages of suggested corrections or improvements, what we're dealing with, I believe, is this is on one staff person who thinks that he should be done with this and that it should be approved so we can go on to other things. And there's been a lot of good feedback. The working group, which only met once, consisted of the Bike and Ed committee members and myself and Tony Hartman, who is on the Bike Fitchburg board. And we were working with a draft that was only text. It did not have any figures or maps, text-only draft last August. And so I feel that this isn't ready. If I was to suggest one global change, Bike Fitchburg provided dozens of photos that are used throughout the thing, and they all came with captions. And there are no captions, and it would be easier matter to put the promised and requested photo credits on. But really, when you look at these things, you don't even know what they're trying to say or whether they even were taken in Fitchburg. And so there are some stock photos in the area of talking about different kinds of bicycle facilities. For example, we don't have any protected bike lanes, and there's a photo in there of a protected bike lane someplace else. So the global change I would suggest is that the captions needed to be put on those photos. If I was to suggest a second big change, I think the maps are very confusing. The safe and comfortable network, which is a suggestion, a concept that I suggested, is mapped irregardless of whether it's needed and proposed or whether it's already built. So for example, it looks like there's a safe and comfortable bicycle and pedestrian route to Oregon along the railroad tracks. And that is a fond hope and not something you can walk on. So I would fix the maps. We have at Bike Fitchburg the expertise, the technical expertise with regard to composing and formatting the document, and also with respect to biking and walking. And we proposed to get the source and work on it for a few months and provide a new, an updated draft at no charge to the city. We were rebuffed because they felt that they couldn't let an official city document go out to some, quote, random people and then take it back. You know, they'd have to look over the whole thing and make sure that every change was okay and so on. At the Bike and Ped Commission meeting, where they discussed this in December or November, whichever it was. December, I suggested that the city could take a contract, let a contract to Bike Fitchburg, and we could deal with it like MSA dealt with it. And we would not charge very much. And I still think that that's a viable way forward. It takes the load off city staff. You will see all the changes that I need to. One other thing is that you've got to be aware that if you put in a figure or take out 2 paragraphs, then the entire rest of the document from that point forward has to be carefully re-examined for formatting so that the photos are on the same pages that the descriptions of the photos are and things like that. So we can't, you know, if we say something about, for example, a rationale for protecting the climate, you can't put in 2 paragraphs and just drop it in there. It's got to be, you've got to restructure the whole document. So we could say, all right, this is all we're going to get for 2026 and let it go forward. Or we could say, you know, there's a lot of good things that still need to be done with this, and if this is going to be our guidance, they say 10 years, I think, in the document, which is preposterous. The comprehensive plan calls for bike and ped plan every 5 years, and we're overdue for that. So if we want any of these suggestions to be incorporated, there has to be a mechanism for that we can suggest to council. And I suggest that my suggestion would be that we would table this for 3 months and recommend the city contract with Bike Fitchburg to further develop the plan. Also, I have a couple of nits with the resolution itself, which doesn't seem to be very substantial, but in the first whereas we talk about a bicycle, automobile, and pedestrian elements, and I would put in public transit and freight. And I would also reference the steering committee in the second whereas clause. But I noticed that the plan itself doesn't mention the steering committee, nor does this resolution, perhaps because it wasn't functioning like a normal steering committee. It only met once and it was underutilized. Any thoughts on any of those kinds of things? Ross?
I just want to point out that all of the meetings involved with this, whether they were Bike and Ped Committee or Steering Committee, were laid out in the initial proposal for this plan and were held as they were laid out in that proposal.
Yeah, I agree with that. I believe that the thing was originally underfunded and that we need a better plan to guide us for the next few years. Go ahead, Maggie.
I'm gonna take a nit of just how the discussion began with, you think that somebody's ready to be done with the plan.
Yeah.
And I don't want to come at something like that. Like, you can want like improvements and everything, but like knowing our government employees everywhere have more work than they have time for and not enough funding to do everything they wanna do. I don't wanna come at improvements from oh, you just want to quit, but like everybody has resource constraints and we're gonna do our best for everything with what we have. That said, yes, I agree that there are improvements, but I do just think taking it from a place of like, we're doing what we can with what we have, and that will be a constraint on everything we do. I have no issue with utilizing resources though, like Fitchburg, if they have time and willingness, and that's something the city can work with to make improvements.
Can I ask a point of clarification on this? So we are discussing under a motion to approve this plan, and that I presume that there's going to be a vote whether we approve it or not. If we don't approve it as one possibility, what impact does that have on, because this is not our plan. We're simply presented with the opportunity to view the Bike and Ped Commission's plan that they would like the city council to adopt. So if we don't like it and we say no, what happens to the document?
So Bike and Ped Commission, Community Equity, and Transportation and Transit Commission are all advisory committees to Common Council. So I believe administration is looking into what happens if every commission or committee that sees this plan tables it, because I think there's a slightly different thing that happens there. But in the end, council can take, if TTC votes this down, they can take that into consideration and vote it down themselves, or accept it and not ignore the TTC's advice, but go against it.
Right, I would concur.
But
what we're doing is we're recommending to the council. Our motions start out with, we recommend approval or oppose approval, or we can recommend to approve with amendments. So I believe that the city needs a bike and ped plan, a current one, and that we should make recommendations that, given the situation, have some chance of coming up with a bike and ped plan. I think that if our ordinances say that if the committees do not make a recommendation within 30 days, the council can ignore them. I think that Bike and Ped talked about having a special meeting based on after us, so that they could take into account what we recommended, and then they would make their recommendation to the council. So I would like to recommend something that results in a better plan that is has a good chance of actually being implemented. So just recommending against recommending against adoption, I think, is spitting into the wind.
Okay, I guess I understood the motion as being something we had to vote either yes or no on.
No, you start out with the recommendation to approve, and then you decide whether you want to vote that one down or if you want to amend it. So we could amend it with we could make a recommendation to adopt it with changes. Like if you wanted to adopt these small changes to the resolution itself, or if you want the plan changed, you could say, we recommend you adopt an updated plan with these changes.
But in your discussion, you suggested tabling it for 3 months, which doesn't sound like any of the options related to the vote.
If the council were to say it needs more work and they see a path to get the work done, then they could table it until their, say, April meeting, as an example, and then look at a new plan in March and April, a new draft.
Oh, okay, I thought you were suggesting we table it.
No, my
Okay.
Recommend that the council table it for 3 months and provide time for further work on the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Does staff have time for further work on the, like, is that like there's a capacity issue somewhere potentially? I'm curious.
So council can direct staff to work on things that council wants to direct staff to work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the whole point, I'm not the staff member that was in charge of this plan. So not to speak for Phil, but I've talked to him a lot about this. But when we take plans to consultants, it's generally because consultants have more expertise, or we can pay them for their time that staff doesn't have to complete a plan. So yeah, additional work on this would take up additional staff hours that aren't planned for it.
And that's why I was recommending contracting it out. Like Fitchburg.
Is that an option that the city would be on board with?
It would be new.
That's a good question.
Bike Fitchburg is amazing, Steve. You guys are great. But I think it's legitimate for there to be a precedent for sticking within like a standard. There's a reason why bureaucracy exists. It's slow and it's annoying, but it does have benefits in terms of consistency and preventing potentially. Bike Fitchburg isn't a concern necessarily, but creating a precedent for something else that could be a concern is the reason why we don't do things like that, I think.
We also have contracting rules that we have to follow because of state laws. I have
You
no
guys
idea
should just bid.
how they would.
I think we would be under the mayor's authority to purchase something.
It's like no plan is perfect, and I also don't think that we have never not pursued something important because it wasn't in the plan.
Oh, yes, we have. The Fitchburg Greenway system has been delayed for 4 years because it wasn't in the park and open space plan per the previous mayor.
Is there something aside from your obviously you have your suggestions, and Ross, correct me if I'm wrong, you said that we can still incorporate some of those suggestions before the final copy ends up.
Yes, the photo credits, some of the captions. What was the other thing you said?
The things in my suggestions range from little detailed typos, great big things, and Phil has an idea which things in there, and from Kelly and other sources he can incorporate.
Yeah, and so he can make the decision about what's possible.
He wants, but the council's asking to approve this draft with promises of future changes, so then we'll get what we get.
The plan is to address at least what type of changes would be made at council whenever it goes to council.
I didn't understand that.
So Phil will make a presentation on what changes.
Oh, yes, he says he says he's got a presentation of what he will change.
He's got
usually a red line version too, typically is provided when I've seen.
But there won't be a red line version for council. I think it's more.
I think it'll be a spreadsheet of the changes.
Yeah. As long as it's pointed out. I guess I respect like the effort and the interest. If there's something really key missing that you want to highlight that you think like really needs to be in here,
I gave you the two.
Yeah, then I respect that and I'll echo that. I think if we can work that in, that's good.
Yeah,
But I would-
Phil plans to do that.
I would prefer to keep it at the staff level, and even though it's just no plan is perfect. And hopefully that we can continue work. If things are missing, that work can still happen in the commissions. And Bike and Ped Commission and this commission are all very active in a really healthy way and pushing things forward and have been very effective at pushing things forward. So I don't think that something not being in the plan precludes action on something in the next 5 years.
Logan?
Yeah, I had a couple questions, and I guess the first one, I don't know how this would work, but is there a reason that we are concerned about, we just want to get this thing done, other than it's the 2025 plan and we're now into 2026? Put another way, if there were a recommendation from all the commissions and then the council were to also go along with tabling for 3 months, are we then delaying work on another plan or some other initiative that would then, kind of have that domino effect? Is that?
Yes, I can't speak to Phil's work schedule, but he has annual responsibilities that he has to work on, such as energy audits and stuff like that, and because he's the sustainability coordinator, and he has other sustainability plan initiatives that he has been directed to start working on. Basically, after the sustainability plan was passed, he has not been able to do much work on those initiatives because this plan came pretty quickly afterwards. So.
And I'll just then echo Alder Gerhardt's comments as well about a precedent for submitting plans to organizations for, kind of putting them out for bid for updates. I have absolutely no qualms if we were to give this to Bike Fitchburg and say, update these things and then send it back to us. My concern would be, the precedent that would set of, would there be any other advocacy or other local organizations with which the city does close business that would then want the same thing with the housing plan that we're just about to see in a couple months. I would not want to see the realtors, the developers, that community, which and to have such a close precedent, a month prior. We look at that a lot at the council level of, and we've had conversations about tax increment financing for developments too. And if we do it for one developer, we do it for one person, we owe it to our community to be consistent in our application. So that would give me pause, not because of Bike Fitchburg, but it would give me pause because of the precedent it sets. So I guess I would rather, if we felt that we needed more work and there was not staff time, I would almost rather us look at going back to MSA and seeing whether we have to do a budget amendment or something like that to get it across the finish line. From what I saw, I think the changes that our chair suggested here, I think they're all good changes, and I think they are things we should include. For me, I'm looking at whether I think those changes are barriers to moving forward and things that are so critically omitted or such critical errors that we can't. It's just not worth moving forward. And I think that from my standpoint, I don't think they're critical enough that we should wait 3 whole months to go forward with them. Recognizing that, again, no plan is perfect and we can make adjustments. And if our goal is to have a 5-year plan, we'll be looking at this again in 3.5 years because it'll be the 2030 plan, and we'll be looking at it in 2029, which is scary to say out loud that that's so close. But I guess those would be kind of my main points, that I don't think that there's anything critically wrong or critically missing from it that would preclude us to move forward.
Carl, Elizabeth? Anybody else?
I'll just say, I have some controversial opinions about plans, but I think lots of times there's an over-focus on plans and then implementation never happens. And it seems like 3 more months writing a plan is 3 less months for implementation, which matters a lot more. So I don't know enough about the context and would generally defer to the Bike Commission, because as Rick said, it's their plan. But in general, that's how I feel about plans. It'd be better to implement half of this, even if some things are missing, than to write a really good plan. And yeah, so.
All right. Discussion is sort of petering out. We have a motion to recommend approval. Are there any potential amendments that anybody would like to talk about?
Could we clarify that?
Sure.
That staff will make updates based on conversation and commissions?
Yes, yeah.
Like that there's still gonna be updates that will come to council. We can't,
You'll see the list of changes that Phil proposes to do.
which would, and yours are considered part of the consideration.
Mine are being considered to be on that list.
I mean, can we do an amendment? Do we have to do amendment that clarifies that? That says we move it forward with recommendations for?
Yes, we can make a recommendation to change the plan or to change the resolution. We move approval of the plan with these amendments to the plan and these amendments to the resolution. And council will get that. And if they do have the special meeting, Bike and Ped Commission will be able to consider our recommendations and add their voices to ours if they think it's a good idea. So we can tell them what we think they should do.
And for the purposes of just clarity here, that would, by the time it gets through all of the governance and gets up to council and the council approves it, even if those changes have not been done, they can be made post a vote and then not have to come back before all of us. Right. So we could dictate by that amendment that Elizabeth was asking about, essentially saying this is what we think is missing, would like to see, and should be included, but we don't think this is enough to table it, that we want to see this get added in a reasonable period, but isn't a kind of a red line.
Yeah, so can I provide some suggested resolution amendment language that Phil is gonna also recommend to council if this is the way that they want to amend it. So it will be amending the resolution to add a whereas clause stating staff may make technical and clerical corrections in the documents following approval.
Yeah, that would be a further resolved clause, not a whereas.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
Because whereas clauses are optional.
Yeah.
You don't need to have those, but they kind of explain what you're about to do.
Yeah.
And so it would be it further resolved that
staff may make
such technical questions that are approved that are in the table of changes presented to the council tonight, or table of changes attached, and then that would become part of the resolution. Phil's spreadsheet. So, I mean, we don't have to work that, but they will.
Is that an amendment to the motion that's on the table?
We don't need to do that tonight, I don't think. That's something for council.
It would be if we did it.
Yeah, I think if we vote yes or no, we have to include Ross's language. Otherwise, it's just a yes or no, right?
Correct. But we have 2 alders here, and they're going to be part of the discussion at the end of the month. And so you can trust them, or Ross's assurance that it will come up in the Bike and Ped Commission, or we can hash out the language right now. Those are all options.
I like trusting them if that's a matter of then just voting yes or no.
There will be proposed language that they can vote on at either council or the Bike and Ped Commission that will allow for these changes. Is that correct?
Correct. And we've done this many times, like, when,
Yeah.
this is very familiar.
Almost always.
Yeah, this is very common.
Honestly, just include it in the resolution from the get-go.
Yeah.
I was actually going to suggest that should
How
become
about that,
standard.
staff?
Let's just make that a standard part of the template.
All right. Does anybody think that we should talk about public transit and freight in the first whereas, as well as bike, ped, and auto? Okay. Any further discussion or amendments?
I will just throw out there that I don't think it's ideal that a commission is not, if it's the case, it's not super clear why they tabled it, but if a commission is not happy with sort of the plan that comes out of them, so I think it's worth looking at what could have been done in drafting to prevent whatever the concerns are, so I'll just throw that out there.
I was there for that whole discussion, and so were you, right, at that meeting?
Yes.
Because that was our RFB discussion day.
I didn't get to talk about RFBs very much because
No, because they took the whole time, just like we're taking. But they looked at my list of changes and they had their own list of changes and they were given sort of a take it or leave it. I mean, we don't have any more consultant money for this. The staff's too busy to work on it. And I was pointing out at that time that, you know, they are not getting to see the recommendations of equity or transit and transportation. And so they wanted to see if any of these things could be incorporated, and they wanted to see Phil's list of proposed additional changes. And so that's why they said that they were gonna have a special meeting, although it'd have to be noticed tomorrow.
yeah.
I don't know if they'll have that or not. Other questions, discussion, amendments? All right, the motion is to recommend approval. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? I think that's everybody. All right. Let's see if we can pick up the pace here. That was 6A, now we're on to 7B. Staff report.
Yeah, so you guys might have seen in the news the Metro Transit budget deficit of about $6 million. So to summarize, I can't really see this thing. So in summary, Madison is ending 2025 with a $10.62 million budget surplus that's citywide, and Metro Transit is being allocated $5.75 million of that budget surplus because they have that much of a budget deficit. Metro Transit is creating an FAQ page for the public to view and Metro Transit partner municipalities, and then I also just linked a couple of news articles that I felt explained this budget deficit and what Madison and Metro Transit is doing. I also received an email from Jamie Acton, who is the new general manager of Metro Transit. She's been on the job for, I believe, 2 months now. And she's kind of getting thrown into this pretty quickly, so I don't envy her for this.
Into the boiling oil.
So I asked her a couple of questions and she sent me answers. So does this shortfall impact the partner cost sharing? No, there's no immediate impact on your current billings because of the structure of our agreement. We are billed for a fixed hourly rate each year. And we're basically billed on a projection of what the coming year will have hourly. So we put together how many hours we think we're gonna have, we divide that by 4, and we pay Metro quarterly for our service. And then at the end of each year, this is all laid out in our contract, our dollar amount that we owe Metro for the next year can go up or down based on how high or low we were on our hours projections, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it happens after the Metro audit, if I'm not, if I'm correct. And sort of think of it as like your tax return. You pay on your payroll or your quarterly estimated taxes for your best estimate, and then fortunately we don't have to pay it all in April though. We spread it out over the next 4 years, or the next 4 quarters.
Yep.
So, and the fact that Madison's budget was $5+ million short of Madison's share does not affect our budget and our share.
Correct. And our contract with Metro can only change based on that cost of service adjustment by 3% each year. So if we were going to add a bunch of service hours next year, which we kind of are with the B and 65 and 75, our cost would go up by more than 3%, but it can only go up by 3% based on this year per year adjustment.
So we also have money in escrow with them, is that correct? That was my recollection.
Yes, so there is also, it's not technically an escrow account anymore, or...
That got taken away when we went to the covering it over the following year's 4 quarters. It used to be that we had about a quarter's worth kind of on deposit with Metro. That's what you're thinking of?
Oh, no, I thought it was like a federal money that had come in during the pandemic that had been distributed to different municipalities.
That's something different. I don't know.
Oh, that's something different that I'm not super familiar with.
Yeah, it was when Andrew McFadden was the transportation engineer. I don't remember. It was meant to cover unexpected increases.
Okay, that's something I would have to...
I would ask about it,
Yeah.
because I thought that there was money in escrow for all the different municipalities.
But we don't have a shortfall, so.
Correct. So there is an account where basically if we overpay and we actually got less hours than we expected to get, then that money goes into an account with Metro that then covers part of our bill next year.
I am talking about something different, so
Okay.
I'd be curious if that still exists, and my
I can ask Misty about that.
Very good.
And then Metro also has steps they're taking to address this shortfall. So Jamie is working on financial controls, hiring out some of their finance positions that are vacant, and then doing kind of an operational audit on why they came out so low on their budget. So
it would be fun if we had a second reason to see her, if she could come talk to us sometime in 26, just so we can meet her and she can ride the B out to Fitchburg and things like that.
And walk all the way from Pick Safety here.
She could take a B cycle.
yeah.
Not in the winter.
So
Well, we won't have her come in the winter. All right, next item. Any other discussion on this? Because this was a discussion. Okay.
Yeah, could I just make a comment about this because of the earlier discussion about how difficult it was to get a fast fare card and all the rest of that. All of the revenue, whether it's from somebody living in Fitchburg or Sun Prairie or anyplace else, is going to Madison Metro. And we could have empty buses running through the city, or we could have full buses running through the city, and it would cost us exactly the same amount.
No.
So it really, why? You didn't say ridership. You only said that's the hours that it spends in Fitchburg, not ridership.
So
Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're correct. That's what I said. But the fares are taken off of what we pay to Metro before we pay them.
How do we know it? So somebody goes and gets, I have a senior card and I use this. Is this because if I board the bus in Fitchburg, it's revenue that is attributed to Fitchburg versus Madison Metro?
Right,
So
we get your $1, but when you get on at the Chazen and come back, Madison gets your $1.
I see. Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because I thought that 100% of the fare revenue went to Madison Metro, and then they calculated their cost to us based upon their revenue, not sharing revenue among the municipalities. So thank you.
Yeah, this is all laid out in our contract with Metro. So.
And it's also relevant to our next discussion item where we close a bus stop just north of the Fitchburg Madison line.
Oh.
So they have to walk
And we take it out of Madison and put it in Fitchburg. Yes.
Okay, let's go to that item now, Ross.
Okay, so this was one of Rick's items that he suggested, and Steve and I thought it would be good for the agenda. This is Metro Stop 4443. This is Fish Hatchery Road at Greenway Cross. I've got a map here. This stop with the big red X on it is just north of Greenway Cross. This one, Rick, do you kind of want to go over your reasons for closing or not closing the stop?
Yeah, this stop that's north of Greenway Cross is just a problem as it relates to traffic, vehicle traffic going up Fish Hatchery and trying to figure out whether you should be in the right-hand lane to go onto the Beltline or whether the bus is going to stop and back up all the traffic through the intersection and back down by McDonald's and such. And in all the times that I've driven through there, I've rarely seen anyone actually using that stop to either get on or off. So you never know if the bus is going to stop there or not. And so it's just not a great location for the stop. And I admit that it's in the city of Madison, not in the city of Fitchburg, but it's mostly affecting Fitchburg traffic.
Yeah, so this stop is used by both Route B and Route H. So on your screen, Route H is the blue and Route B is the green. So with the BRT, the B stop at Greenway Cross is already planned to move south of Greenway Cross. So that would be a pretty easy change to make if we requested that Madison close this stop. We'd just move the B south of Greenway and wouldn't have this issue as much. The H is more difficult because it makes that turn and there's not a good spot on Greenway Cross before Fish Hatchery Road for the H to stop. So its next closest stop is at Bryant Road.
And that's the roundabout?
That's right before the roundabout, just west of the roundabout. So it's a 4-minute walk to that stop, and then for the B, the next closest stop is 6 minutes, but it'd really just be across the street. So I did want, just as a kind of example, my next slide is our Route D2 and 75 reroute, where we were just talking about 4-minute walks and 6-minute walks. And the stops there that were closed are 7-minute walks and 9-minute walks to the next closest bus stop. So I just wanted to add some context there on what this would mean.
And we often talk about a reasonable walk as a 1/4 mile or a 5-minute walk. And so you can see this just over that, and the others is just under.
And could we point out, it's sort of obvious to everybody that no one's walking starting at the existing bus stop to go to the other bus stop. That's not where they live. Mm-hmm. So they'd be walking from wherever their apartments are. And honestly, there's very little residential at that place just north of Greenway Cross. It's mostly businesses there.
I knew that that stop used to serve the employees of a sheltered workshop that was just to the east in the Stewart Street Industrial Park. I don't know if that's still the case, but that was some years ago. But you would see more commuter traffic at that stop during the morning and evening peaks.
Yeah, it's really auto-oriented kind of commercial and business development in that area. I mean, on the west side of Fish Hatch there, between Bryant and Fish Hatch is Zimbrick. east of Index or Applegate is on the north side of Greenway Cross is Bergstrom. The little businesses off Applegate, there's a KFC, there's 5 nightclub, and then south of that is a lot of the kind of almost like strip mall and fast food places. So based on our current development, to Rick's point, there is not much residential, and the destinations folks would be going to there would be places that would be more likely to drive, like McDonald's, or you're probably not going to walk to Zimbrick unless you're going to pick up your car, or take the bus to Zimbrick unless you're going to get an oil change or something.
Do that all the time.
I mean, I appreciate the anecdotal data, but do we not have actual data about how often it's being used?
So there are 36 boardings per day at this stop. That's a combo of both routes. So
Is that low?
So if you consider both, the B is every 15 minutes and the H is every 30, I believe, for most of the day. It's, one rider per trip or run.
I do see how I've seen that happen where a bus stops and then people are going around, and it's definitely a traffic thing. I've seen that, but I don't know that I have a strong opinion. I feel like I would trust Metro's assessment of it if it's worthwhile, and I don't know if there's any anecdotal or evidence from the police that there's been issues with they have bikes there too, which that whole area is messy. I don't love that area. It's messy, and certainly a stop. It would be easier not to have a stop, but I don't know how they make those decisions.
When I asked Metro about this, they seemed kind of indifferent to keeping this open or closing it. So I don't think they have a strong opinion either way.
Do I understand that this is our proposal or a potential proposal to close it? It's not being closed, right?
This would be our proposal to close
to
it,
them.
Yes, to Metro.
Okay.
Which we could choose to completely ignore.
Yes, of course. They won't close it if we don't even suggest it. I see the traffic problems. I see what is, the boardings here are nothing like Post Road and Fish Hatchery, for example. A lot of residential around there, lots of people get on. That's why we have a shelter there. On the other hand, to remove a bus stop to speed car traffic kind of goes against everything that I'm made of. So I would say that unless police are suggesting this because of rear-end collisions or something, I know right turn in front of bus is illegal, at least that's what the back of the buses say. So the cars should be in the right lane to turn onto the belt line. They should stop behind the bus. The buses are only going to go through there every 15 and 30 minutes. So that's not a lot of buses.
And they're not stopping that frequently.
And they're not stopping that frequently. So I would just let this idea drop, would be my motion. Other? Okay.
I certainly don't have a strong opinion. I think I would say, hey, let's let Metro make the final decision, and/or Madison's Transportation Commission or whomever would be the equivalent to us in the city of Madison.
Is that technically City of Madison?
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's just outside.
It used to be the town, but now it's
yeah. But the one across the street is ours on Bryant, because Zimbrick is in Fitchburg. So
it's a good question. Yeah. It's worth discussing.
Yeah. In general, I think we should not make changes that that don't come from the riders, because it's confusing for riders to make changes. And I'd be curious to the extent that that is there to help people get to Club 5 or whatever it's called, because we would not want people to drive if they go there instead of taking the bus. But I don't know if that's why.
It might be well used at certain times.
Yeah.
I don't know from my many evenings at 5 that more than I should count. But I don't know that I've seen many people at midnight or 1 a.m. as their evenings are winding down say, I'm going to take.
No, it'd be like if they go there, then Uber home or
The
go
service does end at midnight, so
Yeah.
it's not, you can't even go to the bar close.
Yeah.
All right, I think what we need to do is give a sense of the commission to staff as to whether we want to draft a resolution for council, because we can't speak for the city. Only the council can, and they won't do it unless we give them a resolution that they can pass. So that would be the path that we would make this suggestion. So do we want to do that, or do we want to just monitor it, or do we want to seek more information, like from police?
I have a question.
Yep.
So for this one, the one we talked about before, the D275, which I believe it was 7 riders. So 36 feels like a lot more than 7. But that one, like Metro seemed to be conducting some sort of audit. And like, how does Metro review these things? Could we say when you're reviewing, throw this on your list, not as a recommendation, but just as how do they do that?
So for the D2, that was initiated because the city of Verona requested more service, and that change was how they implemented that.
Gotcha.
It was basically pulling the D2 to be more direct and able to service Epic.
Okay. So they don't just check and randomly look and see if there's improvements.
I mean, if they not in like a systematic way.
Okay.
If they notice, if they get a driver comes in and says, "I've literally never picked someone up at this stop," then they look at it and probably close it if there were no
We
riders.
get a lot of crash reports,
Yeah.
or if the police yell at them for traffic engineering is, for example, working on the signals all up and down East Wash and so on, trying to do TSP, transit signal priority. That's detectors in the bus lanes that can turn on specialized transit signals or hold a green longer, things like that. So they're doing a lot of work on that. This is part of the cost of why BRT is so expensive, is they have to go in and do engineering. But you don't see that kind of stuff right now for normal transit routes. We did when they did the transit reorganization. There was a lot of this kind of thinking, but that was a discrete project. All right, I am seeing no great urge to act on this, especially considering how we would have to do it formally.
I think I would say my recommendation would be to get some further data from police and just, have that extra data point. Maybe it's a future discussion item if we want to then, 5-minute talk about, do we now want to go forward?
Yeah, why don't you do that and make it in your next staff report, or the staff report after that, if you can, if that's more convenient.
Sounds good.
All right, that brings us to, Rick.
I just said thank you.
All right, any reports from the council that you want to take at 8:15?
Let me see if my computer has battery. I have 2%, so we're gonna make this very fast. All right, from December the 9th. I know off the top of my head, we approved the future incorporated a new medium-high density residential land use category. That was something that's been talked about for quite a while. We approved the preliminary plat for the new No Oaks subdivision off of Central Park Place and Lacey Road, in kind of off 14, west of 14, between Uptown Crossing and 14, which will be our next big Terra Vesa-esque neighborhood. Let's see. I think those were the main, and we also approved a resolution supporting the SBTG TA grant application for the Traceway and Post Road path. that was really the big things from the 9th, from the 25th. Not directly relevant, but we appointed Jake Leopard to fill the rest of Alder Vafadari's term through April. So new face on the council. Scrolling. Let's see, I think that was, we also approved the transit plan on that night, obviously, which we had talked about ad nauseum in this, or at length in this room. It's like, oh, clearly I'm getting sleepy here. And then November 11th, I'm trying to remember, when did we meet last? In here it was
Around that,
okay.
probably 2 days later, probably the 13th.
Okay, then we'll skip the 11th.
Okay. Planning Commission?
Yes, so we did a first approval of one of many for at Grace on Cheryl. They're creating a dementia village. It's a new concept for people with dementia, small group homes. They're getting rid of some of the hospice beds, also adding studio apartments for employees. So that'll be a big change, but it's the first of many approvals. We did go to Plan Development District Specific Implementation Plan and did an ADR for the Orchard Point multifamily development. That's the J.T. Klein development on Nesbitt Road. It's right where they got rid of the bus stop.
Okay. That's senior
so
age restricted?
It's 80 units of senior affordable housing, and it is 100 units of market rate housing.
Okay, for
So
anybody,
it's
any
a mix,
age.
for any age. So, and 4-story buildings.
And who's the developer, please?
J.T. Klein.
Okay.
And they had to work with the fire department on expanding the multi-use path because it needs to have more fire access. But overall, it looks like a nice development. There's solar on the senior building.
Is that the multi-use path that goes up to Fitchburg Road? Okay.
Yes, yes. And they have some nice outdoor features as well. Logan already mentioned the No Oaks Ranch, but and then we did a pre-application for the Syncopation development. This is off of County Highway MM and US 14. It's a piece of land that has been discussed for a long period of time. Multiple proposals have fallen through.
This is the clean fill site.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
34 acres. It's near Tavares. It's at 2991 County Highway MM. They're looking at, it's a mixed housing, so it's they're working with Trilogy Healthcare Senior Living Facility. They're a company that does a mixed building, so this in theory would be 119 units. Some of them would be independent living, some of them would be assisted, some would be skilled, and some would be memory care. So someone could stay in the building long term. And then they have a mix of single family homes and apartment buildings. As
Any
well as
commercial?
proposal. Yes, I believe some small
Neighborhood serving commercial.
Yeah.
And some townhouses too.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the sanitary sewer extension is needed first, and there's a lot of challenges, but they are eager to move forward. We should be seeing it more. They said they would love to start building June of 2026. So
Wow.
they're moving as fast as they can. I don't know if that's going to
Good luck
happen.
with that. Well, that
And
bodes
that-
well for our path.
Yeah.
They will be building the path from the underpass to nowhere that goes under MM north to the Cap City Trail.
Yeah.
Timed that very well, just by happenstance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good job.
Good job,
Yes.
Ross.
You heard me when I said I don't want to tunnel to nowhere, so all you, Ross.
And we're doing, just for No Oaks and that one, we're doing all kinds of traffic impact analyses, just FYI.
We did early issuance of permits so they could start on the Gusto apartments. That's the reason that bus stop is moving. It's right by.
Lacey and Cheryl.
Yes, thank you.
That's
What's
the
that
Lido.
called?
That's the Lido.
It's called the Gusto.
Gusto is the one on Seminole and.
Oh, I'm wrong then. I'm
I
sorry.
thought that was the icon.
Yeah, sorry, I'm wrong. Ignore that. It's the early issue for the Gusto, which is on Seminole and Lacey.
Okay. And
Not the
what-
reason that bus stop is moving, please.
And Lacey and East Cheryl, that's the icon. What?
That's the Lido.
Lido.
Yeah.
IDO.
Icon. Okay.
And that's just the first
Similar
one
letters.
that they're
Yeah.
getting started on.
They're all called something.
And then the last two things, we did some updates to Smart Code. Smart Code has a lot of irritating things that are problematic for staff and developers, so it was just a whole bunch of updates to make things go more smoothly and also allow for the higher density in the T5, which is the highest density of for those developments, and also incorporate things like our new dark sky ordinance, have that be a part of it, et cetera, et cetera. And then we also talked about they're doing an RFP for a comp plan update. And so they had just a discussion about that and what the public engagement should be, but that is moving forward this year.
Okay, Ross, Bike and Ped Commission, sorry, I took that out of order.
Most of it was the bike and ped plan and discussion related to that. I also gave a little bit of an update on our RFPs and kind of our warrant process that I try to use, and other options like Hawks, which are their actual like actuated stoplights basically in summary, so.
Yep. Besides maybe talking about the transit stop 443 again, are there any ideas for future agenda items in addition to what the council's gonna bring us? Could probably talk about promoting transit with activities. So, but if you want more time on the agenda for that, ask away.
Okay.
Any other emergent issues that we should be looking to talk about besides what the council sends us? How about the safety plan? Is that coming along?
No update.
No updates, okay. All right, we would like to get working on that. Announcements, our next meeting will be February 12th. And
Can I have an announcement?
Yes.
February 4th is, I believe, Rosa Parks' birthday and it's Transit Equity Day. So there's always really good events, check it out. And if RCC needs a column for the Fitchburg Star in February, that could be a good topic. And I'd be happy to help if.
Yeah, they are always looking for content, so if you want a slot.
Okay. Any other announcements? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Logan?
Second.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That was unanimous. Well, Happy New Year, and we'll see you all in a month.